Let's imagine you're just starting out and you're looking to get your first investment property. Let's also imagine that you've got no real practical property experience, so this really is your first deal. You have got a bit of cash though. You've maybe got enough money to put down a first deposit, and you have got time on your side. You've got enough time to kind of get out there and start to look at these deals, even if it's only at the weekends or the evenings. I want to give you 3 strategies that I think you should be looking at as a first-time investor. And really importantly, I want to also give you 4 core things that you must do when buying that first investment property. So make sure you stay and tune until the end of the video for that. So the first thing to say is, unless you've got a money tree at the bottom of your garden, you only have a finite amount of cash that you can put into property. So it's really important that that money works incredibly hard for you. And by that what I mean is you want to be doing deals where you can put your money in, you can do something, and then you can pull your money back out again really quickly. Now there's 2 main ways that you can do this. The first is to simply buy properties below market value. I say simply, it's not as simple as that. You've got to get really focused and work with motivated sellers and kind of look for very specific types of things. And I've talked about this on my channel before, but you genuinely can buy properties at a substantial discount to the market. Or you look for properties where you can add massive value. And I say it in that way because I kind of bang on about massive value on my YouTube channel all the time. But if you can add massive value, or if you can buy properties below market value, you can refinance those deals relatively quickly, 6 to 12 months, and pull all of your cash or most of your cash back out of the deal, so you can then go and do investment property number 2 or 3 or 4 and so on. Now there are of course loads of different property strategies out there, but the 3 core ones that I think you should be considering is, and the first one's nice and simple, it's a single let that you're going to buy and then let out to a family for the very long term. As I say, it's nice and simple, but you've got to stick to those 2 main things that I was mentioning earlier. You've got to be buying below market value, or and adding value in some way so that you can refinance and pull your cash back out to use in the next deal. The second suggestion that I have is that you convert 1-bedroom flats into 2-bedroom flats. Now, how on earth would that work? Well, you're going to look for properties that have very specifically large large lounge stroke dining spaces as a 1-bedroom flat, and a separate kitchen. And then what you're going to do is you're going to turn the kitchen into bedroom 2, and you're going to bring the kitchen into the large lounge kind of space. Now I've done this before, and there are a couple of things that you need to be aware of that you should be looking for. So the first is, as I say, you're looking for properties with really big lounge stroke dining spaces. And the best way to do this is to kind of go and search in your investment area on Rightmove for 1-bedroom flats only, and then just start looking at the floor plans. And really quickly, you'll start to build up a picture of what works and what doesn't work. And one of the key things you should be doing is looking for places where the kitchen is adjacent to the lounge, and actually adjacent to the area where the kitchen would go in the lounge. You see, you can always run water to anywhere in a property because it's under pressure. It's getting rid of the waste water because, of course, that isn't under pressure. So that needs to sort of run away downhill. And so if you put the kitchen in the lounge space on the adjacent side of the water where the kitchen was, obviously it's going to be much, much easier to get rid of the waste water. Check the lease on any 1-bedroom flats, because in there it will tell you exactly what you can or can't do. And also be aware that you're really never going to be allowed to do anything structural with the building. So if you have obviously brick walls or block walls within the property, do you know what? It's highly unlikely you'll ever get permission to take down a structural wall. By the way, if you find this video helpful, it would just be awesome if you could click on that like button down there. It really helps me, if that's okay. Now, my third suggestion might be a little bit unusual, but I'm going to suggest that as a first-time investor, it's perfectly possible that you could do what I refer to as a mini-mo. Now, this is basically a smaller, maybe 3 or 4-bedroom HMO property. Now, if you're not aware of what HMOs means, what stands for, it stands for House of Multiple Occupancy. So this is where you're going to take one house and you're going to rent out the rooms individually to get a far, far greater cash flow from the property. Now, it is a bit more of an advanced strategy. I'm not going to lie to you, it's a bit more to it than single lets. But I honestly, and I've really thought about this, I don't think it's insurmountable at all as a first investment, a smaller minimo. But again, like the other things in this, other strategies in this video, there are a few things that you need to be aware of. So let me quickly run you through those. The first is, I honestly think you should be looking for areas that are non-Article 4. Now, Article 4 is a planning restriction that's been put in place in lots and lots of areas, but there are still places in city centres and in towns where there is not Article 4 in place. And what that means, it means that effectively you can take pretty much any house and turn it into an HMO without the requirement for planning permission. The next thing to consider is demand is everything when it comes to HMOs, because you never want to have void periods, because if you have a void, well, that just destroys your cash flow from that property. So look for areas where there's a really strong demand. The best way to do this is to jump onto Spare Room and compare the number of rooms wanted with the number of rooms offered. If you do that, you'll very quickly establish if there's more people looking for properties or looking for rooms in that area than there are rooms offered. And of course, that's a huge tick. One other thing to consider here is I personally believe there should always be at least 100 people looking for rooms in any given area. Just a little tip for you there. Get really good, if you're looking at this minimo strategy, at working out the best, what the ROI is, the return on investment for the money that you're going to be putting into this deal, because it's a really awesome way to compare one property with another property with another property. The next thing to say with this whole strategy is you've got to document everything, because going back to the start of this video, I kind of suggested you don't have a money tree at the bottom of your garden, and if you do, please give me a call. But assuming that you don't have an infinite amount of money, you need to make that money work really, really hard for you. You need to kind of churn it. With the minimo strategy, it's actually more difficult to do that, being honest, because yes, you could buy a property below market value. Yes, you can add massive value. But generally speaking, we're asking an awful lot if we're also looking for a property that would kind of align with a minimo strategy. So let's assume you're probably going to be paying close to market value. And let's also assume that you're not probably going to be adding massive value. So you need to document everything that you do with that property. So I'm talking about all of the numbers. I'm talking about before and after photographs showing what you did with the refurb, before and after floor plans. I think video walkthroughs as well. Why would you want to do all this? Well, once you've done this project, you can then go and sit down with an investor who's got £100,000 burning a hole in his bank account, earning him next to no money. You'll have a great chat with him about maybe getting involved in a joint venture where he's perhaps going to be putting some funds into a deal. He'll look you in the eye and he'll say, I love everything about you, but what have you done before? And it's then that you can slide across the table that PDF that kind of shows exactly what you're capable of. So please document everything. Nearly there. 4 final really important things that you should be focusing on with this first investment property. And I think these 4 are really, really important. The first is only buy places for the long term. This is about building a passive income for the rest of your life. I started out flipping properties. I'm now always advising people to buy and hold for the long term. The second thing is, regardless of the strategy that you're looking at, strong rental demand is absolutely essential, because what strong rental demand means, it means you can charge just a little bit more rental income for that property. It also means that your tenants are going to stay for the very long term, and it also means, therefore, that you're never going to have void periods, which is absolute killer when it comes to cash flow. The third really important thing that I think you need to have is a cash buffer. Now, one of my mentors, Simon Zucci, taught me this particular key point, and I think it is so important. You must have a cash buffer, because I've run out of cash when I was doing a project before, and I had to kind of find a way of getting that money really, really quickly so that I could finish a project. Have something that you can kind of go to, even if, and I'm really stretching here, it's maybe a credit card. I don't like that, but you have to have some way of covering yourself in an emergency. And my fourth thing is, always compare every deal you do based on the return on investment that you're going to have for putting your money into that particular project. Now, I've done a whole video here which will teach you exactly how you can work out what that return on investment is going to be, and it really enables you to compare one project with another project, and then you can be absolutely sure you're buying the right one.